When was Parker Middle? This was on there at this point. That runs from the. Well, that's it. I was in there. For a year. It was about 12 years. Okay, well, then I've been there for. I was out there. A year after medicine, I was in the chair, but I was not sure. And I was on it for at least 2 hours.
They did, but they did show up to the groundbreaking. Ronnie Beal called it out. He was great for our county.
He was. He really was.
Let me call the
Best ever.
meeting to order for this workshop session, February 19th, 2026. The first item will be to review and approve the agenda. Do we have any changes to the proposed agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank
Aye.
you. Excellent. Then we will move to the approval of the January 15th work session meeting minutes. Do we have any changes, clarifications, or corrections?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 4, Unified Development Ordinance, Section 6.4, Public and Civic Uses to discuss addition of commercial building exterior materials. I know Commissioner Weller is going to kind of lead us through this review. And I want Michael, of course, I was going to say, Michael should be here to provide input too. So the floor is yours, Commissioner.
All right. So just to give a little historical background, 2.5 years ago, when I was on the planning board, we met for probably 5 or 6 months in a row to come up with some concepts of things. And it was really improvements, and a lot of it stemmed from the fact that simply that a lot of the colors that are required colors, you could still get, but they actually were discontinued colors. So companies could actually look them back up, but they've been around for so long. And then the other thing, we were trying to guide a little bit was we really didn't change materials necessarily. We still kept the materials allowed. This was just a recommendation from planning board, by the way, is what I'm saying. The materials stayed the same, but we wanted to revamp the colors. And the reason we revamped the colors, we really didn't change the direction of the colors. We allowed very similar colors. We did select new colors from Ben Moore. If you remember, we talked about being a different type of color, but we decided that Ben Moore made sense since there's only 2 places in Highlands that sell paint and both of them sell Ben Moore. Thought that was fairly safe. It wouldn't be offensive to anyone. Plus, you can get any paint. It's just the color from Ben Moore. So the primary change then you can see in the packet, the primary change suggestion was that we came up with base colors and accent colors. Currently, you can take a relatively strong red and a relatively strong green and paint your building pretty brightly and in not really patterns, I think is the wrong term, but it didn't allow, this was, again, the entire planning board. So the concern we had, or not the concern, but the request we had was that we would have base colors, which they're all earth tones, but we would have base colors as primaries, and then accent colors, which are the brighter tones, and allow those in certain combinations. So you couldn't use two accents, but you could use two bases. You could use a base and an accent. And then obviously your front door could be something different, stained color, whatever, as a third. It was really just trying to simplify it because it's fairly ambiguous, in my opinion. Prior to this, this is an element that we use quite often. So we were just trying to change it to include those kind of, I'll call it guides or directions. And at the same time, it's somewhat inconsistent on how information comes into the town when it comes to finishes. Sometimes it's on a drawing, sometimes it's in an email, sometimes it's in a written note, whatever the case might be. So we also came up and developed a zoning board exterior finishes approval request, which basically have you outline what they are. So there's a single point common to every project. And whether it's to repaint your building or it's to for a new building or a complete renovation, et cetera. So it's just a place to keep everything in one place, easier for the town to keep track of it, and it's consistent. So that form that you find in there is the zoning board exterior finishes approval request is in there, obviously. So, and then you'll also see in the package, you saw the existing colors, and then you see the proposed colors, which are not distinctly different, just different names from a different company. Actually, they were the same company, but again, at least 40% of the colors were discontinued colors. So we updated it.
Okay.
That's what it was. And that's the first portion of it, I guess. The second portion, I don't want to jump ahead, but just to kind of bring it all together. The other thing that we felt at the time was that you have government institutional, you have B1, 2, and 3. You have design guidelines, but the design guidelines are only for private commercial buildings in the business district. So government institutional, the town itself, et cetera, are not bound by any of the design guidelines, which we felt they should be. So that was the other aspect.
So you're saying that we're going to have to paint town hall because it's a red color?
No. Well, no, and that's.
If we repaint it, I mean, if
Nick
we,
would actually have to, now that's one thing that we did write in there, that you can repaint it the same color you had it. For instance, the Presbyterian Church, that church is not an approved color.
yeah.
You're allowed to repaint it the same color. So that was one
None of the
our
white
conditions.
churches are either.
What's that?
None of the white churches are either. You don't have white as a base color.
You
No,
don't allow white?
not pure white, no. But we never have.
Yeah.
We never have.
Well, I know when they were repainting over here at the shopping center, somebody was bringing that.
Yeah, and if that's why we had it as one of the elements, suggestion elements, is that if you do, if it is the churches and other structures that have been here a very long time and they've always been that color and they've been continue to be that color, we're not trying to come in and when they repaint, they have to now go to the list. That was your kind of, I'll call it grandfathered in or.
Okay, and what color is the new Catholic Church?
Couldn't tell you. They weren't bound by these rules.
It's going to be stone.
Well, it's gonna be stucco, I believe.
Yeah, stucco.
No, I think it's now.
It's
gonna be
actually
It's gonna be
stone?
white,
Oh, actually stone.
Portuguese limestone.
but it's gonna be white, I believe.
It's gonna be light color, but I
It'll
don't
be
know.
a sand color.
I've not seen the product.
So in other words, we're excluding,
What we currently are.
But I would say the color.
but that's
of this
because they've
building-
been traditionally that color. This is an entirely new building.
Well, I know what I'm saying is that particular building was exempt from the design guidelines.
It's public and civic use.
Correct.
So we
Yeah,
have,
but we're now putting public and. civic
yeah, that
use
would be
in.
one of the additions, is to remove the commercial exterior materials and then the colors and add it to public and civic uses. So any
And again-
building that is used for public and
I
civic
do-
use.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say that the police department, for example, followed the color guidelines
It did.
when we did it on town hall. Yeah, okay.
No. So with all that said, this was just what the board, and we never really came back to it because it got hung up with the whole Pantone colors. So we're back to Ben Moore, to where we started.
Let me
And we're
ask,
just bringing it back up.
let
So
me ask you this, what's the difference in a base color and an accent? Is it square footage? Is it highlights of architectural features? It's casing, fascia? I mean, where can you put accents?
it's not a matter of where you put it. It's a matter of combinations, how you can use them. You can paint your entire building an accent color. But you can only, but then you can't
they
have
look
trim
pretty
that's a
much the
second accent
same.
color. Huh?
They look pretty much the same,
What do you mean?
your base colors and your accent colors.
No, accent colors get into brighter tones and darker tones and so, and again, this can all get revisited. I was just bringing it up because it got tabled 2 years ago and never came back up. So,
I mean, to me, you don't have any accent colors. Lots of people like to have white window casing or something in a lighter tone.
mhm. Mhm.
That are no accent colors or white.
Right.
Looks like it to me anyway.
Which are all, I mean, I realize if you look at them, there's off whites. There's not like snow white, but
As base colors, but not as accent colors.
right.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out what accent colors mean. If the base color means it's majority that color, and if you only have the white
Right.
as, that's a base color as your fascia and your soffits and your
Right.
casings.
Right. So again, and I revisited this when this came out because I haven't looked at it since before I
I'm
was.
just trying to say, if I read this, I would have no idea what I'm allowed to do.
So, well, it's not a matter of where you use them. Again, it's not a matter of, you're allowed the two colors and maybe,
It's called an
maybe
accent.
accent is the wrong color.
I was gonna say, it's
name.
called an accent color.
Yeah, maybe it's called something different, but I mean, you can paint the whole building in accent color. You just can't have an accent color for the window trim and fascias and then do
Because
another
usually
accent color.
base color means the first one you put on, which is the
Correct.
largest one.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
A base
If I
color,
read this
trim
not
color.
being somebody who's in the business all the
Yeah.
time, I'm
It-
saying, I have no idea what color. I
Well,
should
it
do.
has more to do with the tone within the color and it could be primary and tertiary. It could be whatever the case might be, primary, secondary. It doesn't have to
But
be.
primary usually means
accent may
it's,
be the
it's
wrong term,
it
but-
would be the predominant square footage of coverage.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, and maybe at the end of today, what we should do is throw it back to the planning board because four of the planning board members that came up with this are not on the planning board anymore. So I'm just saying it might be good to have another fresh set of eyes for this and the other stuff. The other subject's a little different. And we already know based on current state law that we may or may not be able to make these changes until things are cleaned up at the state law level. So.
Can
So-
I ask Michael a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, when someone comes in and they're gonna do a paint job on their building, they bring you a sample of the color and you make a judgment call. You say, yes, this matches this color that's approved, correct?
That's correct.
But you don't have any guidelines now as what's going to be your primary and the trim or anything. You just say, those two colors are approved. They
They-
meet our color.
They could use 2, 3, 4 different colors on there as of right now. And for the most part, people do it tastefully, but you've seen some where, they try to throw up a red and a green, like you had mentioned, or a yellow.
yellow.
Or yellow.
Former
Yeah.
art professor used to teach color theory. It's so creative, the things you can do.
That's what I was
And
saying. I
lower
mean, this
intensity,
is
high
actually,
intensity, complementary
dull.
colors or
this
whatever.
is
you
actually
can
pretty
do.
dull, if you ask me.
Polka dots.
These are the colors we've had forever.
I know.
We're not changing the colors. We're not changing anything. We just
But,
did
but
put
I'm
them
saying
in.
if you're gonna go
two
through changing,
classifications.
shouldn't we actually think, is this what we want to continue to do?
You mean these colors?
Yeah,
Well, that's why I do think it'd be good to throw it back to the planning board.
yeah, but I think you can have, in color theory, you can have complementary colors
Yeah.
from an earth tone that are not gonna be in your accent colors
And
here.
you can have high intensity complementary colors and they'll vibrate and knock your eye out, but you can then lower the intensity of them and it settles it down.
Jeez.
That's
But it
kind
settles
of hard to
the-
put into.
That's
I know.
maybe a little bit beyond what we can do.
It is.
But
Well, and-
what I'm saying is, number one, we need to define base and accent so that we know,
Or call them something different.
or
too,
call them something
whatever.
different, but you need to define them some way so somebody knows what can paint the whole thing and then come back and put accents on it at a different color, because that to me is what base and accent
But
means.
like, I mean, in reality, if you look at even the old, let's look at the old colors. If you look at the old colors, there's some of them that are quite a bit brighter. There's a pinkish color. There's a kind of a light blue. There's a lighter red. There's a lot of color. That's great. And there's nothing to say you can't use all of them.
Can you use, it doesn't matter if you use a gloss or a flat or
We
a
don't,
satin or,
we've never dictated that.
because that can make a big difference in your glossiness.
Yeah, big difference on maintenance too, but that's not anything we have to worry about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but no, we didn't talk about sheen levels.
Okay.
No.
Sheen levels, I knew there was a term somewhere in there.
Yeah, sheen level, shininess. So again, this was, let's just say 2 years ago, and the meeting that I got sworn in is where this got tabled. So
So you haven't had a lot of input in it.
yeah, no, not since. So we haven't changed it. It's the same. And looking back at it, yeah, maybe we want to revisit it. And you have a good group on the planning board that I think would give a lot of positive input. So, and this is a reduction in colors overall, because the other part of it is it's a judgment call. So when you get a chip and then you have the actual chips, it's right there. I mean, it's difficult because you can look at it off. There's
And you need to look
800
at them under
off-whites.
incandescent
trust
or
me.
LED or sunlight
I've
or
done it
anything
a
else.
million
'Cause-
times.
Agree. That's why we tried to pick ones that, because if you paint one side of it, there's off whites in here that we tried to avoid the ones that'll turn pink when the sun hits it, because there are ones like that. I mean,
Mm.
there's obvious. Again, not trying to micromanage it, but trying to guide it a little bit more to where you couldn't paint a 5-color building with all really bright colors, which you can right now. There's nothing
So there's no way you can make a mural.
that disallowed. No, definitely not. Well, that actually there's some language in there about artwork on outside a building, is there
I
not?
don't think we define mural in our UDO.
So as long as it's done with all the colors in the selection. But again, the other part of it though is that I actually felt the strongest about was the fact that I do think that all buildings, if we're going to follow design guidelines, I think that the town should have to follow the rules when they build a
Oh,
building.
I agree too.
But they don't. They don't have to, is my point. They can, but they don't have to. I think they should be required to. For whether it be a design standpoint or whatever the case might be. So that was the part that to me was even more important, but I just think all buildings, whether it be government institute, like the Bascom didn't have to, government institutional, anything zoned that way. The PAC doesn't, I mean, because that's the zoning for it, so it's not required. I just think commercial buildings in town should be required to. But
Bascom has no color.
no, well, it does. It's
And actually,
it's
it's,
unpainted.
it's more than that. It's not even the underlying zoning because of the way it's defined in our ordinance. It's any public or civic use doesn't have to meet these. You
Right.
don't get into our design until you go to commercial uses. So
Yeah.
commercial buildings would, but you could have a commercially zoned like the Catholic Church where we had to be one conditional zone it, but it's a public and civic use, so didn't have to
Right.
meet those design
it's exempt.
standards.
So maybe we need the planning board to just take an overview of this whole thing with all these things. that
I think they just rehash it. It's been a while, so I
Well,
just,
but, there's always minutia that actually you have to find the exception to the rule and make
Mhm.
sure that you have thought of that.
Mhm. Yeah. We did talk a lot about in the past with the buildings that don't meet the color requirements, but I mean, the Presbyterian Church has been that color for,
As long as I remember.
yeah, well, and in my 33 years here, that's what it's been. So, that was one
Or
of our
really, really
layout
close anyway.
exemption. Yeah, it might have shifted a little bit, but, well, every time they paint, it shifts a little bit because it brightens up again. So, but again, there's two aspects. It's the colors, however that gets handled, or three things: the colors, the form that I think, because it's confusing right now if you're
And
looking at plans.
And I think then that can get put in the record much more easily
Correct.
than just a chip or an email or anything else. And then we know what it's supposed to be.
Correct. And that's the siding materials specifications, and it has percentages on the form. Again, that can get tweaked as we go through this process, but with with a 50% plus new planning board, a new fresh set of eyes is not a bad thing.
Well, and I don't have any problem with the form. I think it's a good idea because it does then get put in the record and we know what it is and that kind of thing. And I have no problem with the government buildings doing the same thing. I'm just saying, I think I would relook at your color palette.
And the colors are the one thing, other than updating and finding colors that are actually available. Referencing colors that have been discontinued for 10 years. Not long after the UDO was developed, 15 years, 14? I forget when the committee was meeting.
12.
Is that what it was? I don't remember.
2012.
I know it was a while ago when we had those meetings,
15.
when we developed the UDO. So just, and the other part, like I said, the three aspects, the form, the colors and the usage of colors, and then everybody doing it. So, I mean, it might be a very simple conversation for today and simply shifting it to the planning board
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
and a complete re-review. Well, I didn't expect to do anything active
Today.
on it. I just wanted to see where we wanted to go with it because it's been on a shelf.
And let's just go back and revisit this too, because I got a call a few months ago in a neighborhood person that said, what are the color code requirements? Because someone across the street from me has painted this wild color and it's just an eyesore. What can the town do? And I said, it's in
On a
residential.
house.
They can do what they want to do.
Mhm.
Do we want to still leave that dead horse and not deal with anything in the residential, only in the commercial and
Yeah.
GI?
Yeah, Nick will tell you,
I would say, yeah.
we
because
can't
that's-
regulate
do
residential design by state law.
What's
Nick can confirm, but we can't regulate residential design. That state law prohibits us from doing that. HOAs can, but governments cannot.
All right.
That answered that
That's a
question.
good affirmation of why we're not doing it then.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
State won't permit it. All right, good.
I'm the newbie here. Help me out with process. So it sounds like we're going to refer this to the
Planning board, back to the planning board.
chairman, sorry, to the planning board. Then it'll come back to us, and I presume we'll hash through it and refer it for a public hearing. And then we'll take a vote on a change to the UDO. Is that the correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That is, I will let Nick touch in. As of right now, we can't do anything with it. Nick, if you want to go over why 382 would prohibit us from making any of these changes as of right now.
And for the people in the audience and maybe on video with this, that Senate Bill 382 that was passed at the end of the 24th session that December, and it basically says a town cannot downzone and make an existing use or building non-conforming.
That's correct.
Correct, okay.
That's why it would do it.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, that's it, without property owner consent. It used to be that a local government could do that without getting property owner consent, but obviously if you make a change to your UDO that applies across the whole town, then you would need to you could get everybody's consent. So if it creates a nonconformity like this would here, my advice would be that you would not be doing it.
And Nick, at the same time, Senate Bill 382, the fix for it is it through the House and at the Senate?
Through the Senate and at the House.
It's opposite. Okay. It's Senate and at the House.
And eligible for short session.
So,
Having a hard
and
time hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nick, are you using a microphone or your computer?
I'm using my. Is that any better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yep, a little bit.
Sorry. Okay, I'll talk closer to the webcam. It is passed the Senate in the House and it's eligible for the short session for them to take it up. And the fix is basically going back to the way it was without the nonconformity and without needing property owner consent. In exchange, there will be a statewide nonconformities section that would apply to us, which we already have a nonconformity, so that wouldn't be an issue. It's mostly for the places that don't have it, but there would be some differences on how nonconformities are treated.
So
How does that impact our UDO though, in making changes to the UDO that would be considered downzoning, will that still be in place? With the fix?
Well, I mean, so there's a wide range of legal opinion out there. Nobody knows. This is brand new. Everybody's trying to deal with it. Some places are adopting UDO amendments under the they put in all kinds of caveat language and everything. This is not intended to be a down zoning, and to the extent it is, then you can have your existing zoning ordinance and not this, all these things. It gets very tricky and very messy, but some places are trying it, to be frank. They are still amending their UDOs and just hoping that there's not any contention on it.
So what I hear you say, even with this new fix bill, we'll fix it, there still could be some still uncertainty about what a municipality or county can or can't do when it comes to changing their UDOs.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just talking about as it exists with 382 in place and not fixed. If the fix is adopted, that's currently passed the Senate in the House, then that just changes how you regulate nonconformities. It doesn't change. It goes back to the way it was before Senate Bill 382. So there wouldn't be any issue with, like, for example, adopting these text amendments.
It just continues to protect the nonconformities.
Right. And like longer periods of time that they have to, and things like it's like a supercharged nonconformities provision that we would have to, adopt as a part of our nonconformity section in the UDO.
Okay.
But I don't see any reason we can't send this to the planning
No,
board now,
no.
because it'll
We
take
can
a while
always-
for them to figure it out.
And if we get all our ducks in a row and we are in agreement, then at least we have it
Have
ready
it done.
for a public hearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if we have to shelve it for a couple months.
Right. Even if we can't pass it till we get
Yeah.
the final say from
Yeah.
the state, we'll be ready to go.
Yep, I would agree. Okay.
So you got your walking orders?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Since we're directed Michael to move forward with reviewing the color chart, won't we move on to item number 5, the Unified Development Ordinance, section 8.3.1, dimensional requirements, discuss the addition of building height for G and I zones.
Well, again, like it falls from a legal standpoint, it falls into the same, correct? Okay, all we're saying is that building height should be restricted by, if, you shouldn't be exempt from them if you're, what is the terminology for the use?
Government institution.
Government
Government
institution.
So you're just saying GI should have a 35
Period.
max, like
In town.
everybody else?
In town, period.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it isn't that way right now, so we were just suggesting, because that one's very simple. I think it also goes back to the planning board as a package, so to speak, but.
I hear what you're saying, Commissioner, except, for example, the PAC Center. They have a higher area.
The fly
over their
area.
Stage for their fly.
Mhm.
They were building a contemporary theater where the flies will come down. So they needed that space. Or a church. And I know I'm not picking on the Episcopal Church, and I know that they're in a B zone or everything. But if they were GI and they've got that spire, that steeple,
That doesn't count. That's an
Why not?
exemption.
why?
Steeples are an exemption in our current ordinance.
Steeples are.
Steeples, elevator shafts, mechanical units, et
Well, then
cetera.
it seems to me that fly at the PAC Center
Yes.
would fall within that
Well-
exemption too.
Well, they came and asked
I
specifically
know.
if they could do that. And we said, yes, because that is part of a theater and being able to have a fly loft to raise the,
Okay.
And
It is worth noting, though, if we had the 35-foot restriction, which I mean, I get both sides of it for sure, but if we had that 35-foot, y'all wouldn't have been able to approve them going over 35 feet. They'd had to get a variance from the zoning board.
they would have had to ask for variance.
Had to ask for a
And then the state
variance.
of North Carolina has specific requirements for that.
And that basically it applies to nobody else. In other words, they
Yeah.
have a unique thing that
Well, that-
applies to them that you can't put across the board. So they get a variance because you have to be able to raise flies and put them somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
If granted a variance,
And
then
it
yes,
is
it would have
unique to
been.
them.
And it's unique to them. That's what I'm saying. And that's
Right.
why a variance would have worked.
Right. So that, we were just bringing that up. And like I said, the church steeples are an exemption anyway. So
Yeah, church. There's a few different exemptions. I don't
Yeah.
remember them all. Chimneys I know are.
chimneys, mechanical systems, and again, elevator shafts that have to extend above the roof line. Those are all exemptions.
So my vision of a 4-story town hall.
You can only have 3 stories. You can only have 3 habitable levels.
I'm going to put a courthouse on the top of it.
Yeah.
No, that's a habitable level.
Okay.
So I'll just send them all back to the zoning board. We can have the talks about it. We'll go ahead and have everything set up. We can bring them back. I mean, I assume we can have a public hearing, Nick. Get the public's input on any changes, just as long as we don't adopt anything.
Correct. Yep.
So,
That would go to the planning board.
yeah, I'll take this back to the
Okay.
planning board.
Yeah.
All right.
Works for me.
Okay, do we have any other issues on these 2 items that are related to these 2 items that we need to discuss?
I do not.
Michael, anything else?
I do not. I'm going to take them both back.
Oh, gosh.
It appears we may have been able
We
to
usually
add
go the other
something else.
I know. And you know what else? We've really decided how to direct this
Yeah.
within this meeting. So, I guess if there's no other, discussion about these 2 items, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn until 7 o'clock for the regular meeting.
So moved.
All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank y'all. Nick, we'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
I give you both something for the future.